Today's session will be start with what is a Sea China, and then next we'll move on why it matters now, and what children will gain, why should you trust us, and what do you need to know, the practical things, and also what's next. So let's start with what exactly is a Sea China. So Sea China, first of all, is a 501c3 nonprofit educational initiative. C stands for Study the System, Engage the Reality, and Excel Forward. And China refers to modern China. And most important, I want you to know is it is not a cultural exchange and not a typical summer camp either. It's a 30-day future pathway field training program to build global competence the AI era increasingly demands. I know it sounds a lot, right? I will explain. The program is not created to chase the AI trend. It is built on our capability foundation since 2019 and our modern China course since 2020. What AI does is make it the value more visible, more necessary, and more urgent. And the program is obviously quite forward looking. And that's the reason we provide a nearly 50% support. So the cost to the family is even less than what a typical independent 30-day China trip would cost. So let's first take a look at what is a global competence means. Global competence by our definition, requires two things. The first is the ability to make sound judgment and deliver reliable outcome across national system. Second is a better understanding of modern China as a competitive advantage. And in our training language, it included three things. Making sound judgment means structured judgment, and deliver reliable outcome means reliable education. Together with understanding modern China, those three things cannot build through books or lectures alone. That's why Sea China is a field training. And this is extremely important for our students because real world engagement make those complexities system easier to understand and the premium exposure will help motivate them, engage them. Let's begin with how students will learn China systematically. So goal of Sea China is not to leave students with a stronger impression, but to build a structured ways to understand the complexity of a system. And therefore, the training method must be structured. So this is a system that we developed in-house since 2020. I just want to show you that's how students going to train in the program. And let's move on. The first thing, the system map. Students going to use this system map to understand the modern China through 5 levels: infrastructure, cities, industry, and institutions or companies. They are trained to ask what system level are they seeing? How does that work? How is it different from the US? This is the most important part. What does that mean for industry opportunity, especially the future pathway? So let's take a look at what do I mean by that concretely at the city level. Let's start with the city level. Every year, there's a focus. In 2025, Sea China helps students to see how AI is already changing daily life, industry, and cities. And this year, you're going to move one step deeper. How AI phones competitive advantage across national level, industry level, company level. And most important, as said, is what does that mean for you? Okay. Each city is used as a system window. They are not chosen as a tourist stop, but they are chosen because of their specialized role in modern China economic systems. So for example, Beijing helps students to see governance, industrial policies while observing cultural identity. And Shanghai shows global connection and smart city development. Shenzhen is emphasized on its rapid innovation cycle and high-tech manufacturing ecosystem, while Hangzhou shows the digital economics and the technology embedded in the daily life. Later on, I'm going to show you the website, which we do encourage you to explore those city page, company page, university page, which shows the example how students understood those levels at the end of the program. It might not be the perfect work, but we are proud to present them. And that's how your kids are going to experience as well. So next, let's continue with the university level. University matters not only because of their prestigious, they are part of China's talent research and commercialization system. So in Sea China, again, university are ranked based on what each university is known for. Like in Tsinghua, students experience in both technology focus on campus in Shenzhen. They experience such as an AI lab, robotic related demos, and also a very prestigious swordsman program. At Fudan, though, we folks have students to join the business and international relations lectures of financial, national system, and smart cities, trades, etc. And they also obviously experience Shanghai City and enjoy the campus life. They stay at campus in Fudan. At Zhejiang University, though, what students will show is a very strong entrepreneurship and also incubate the environment. So they understand how university can connect the talent, research, and commercialization. This is the university, some of the photo. Let's talk about the industry level. What do we show students? The industry that we pick in Sea China is both industry and company is where the China and US can have a meaningful comparison. This including AI, robotic, digital payment, logistic, healthcare, EV, and also emerging industry. The goal is really hope students understand how scale, supply chain, coordination, and education creates competitive advantage, and how those industry change may connect to their academic and career direction. That's the most important thing. Well, in Shenzhen, for example, we also take students to see the emerging industry in China, but still less visible in the US, such as the low altitude economics, including the drones or electronic vertical takeoff and landing. In 2025, also majority students choose to attend the World Artificial Intelligence Conference at the additional cost. This year, this conference, we will also discuss with students and they can choose whether to attend or not. So the company that we take, the students visit, obviously is all the best in China, such as Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, Xiaomi. They are not choosing just because of the names. We use them as a window to see how strategy, organization capability, and education turn into outcome. And for example, at Visa, students join a roundtable discussion with executives and discuss how Visa competes with Alipay and WeChat Pay in China. And while at Tencent, students did a hands-on comparison of US and China's AI tours. So each company will arrange it differently in terms of activities or so just to make sure that students has a not just for the variety purpose, but more from the analysis point of view. It's not every day that they have to serious working. They also enjoy the cultural food, but again, what's difference what make difference is those living environment. It's also part of a student's experience. And let me explain. Enjoy local cuisine and visit those iconic places, right? Those are not separate from learning. They actually help students experience how people actually live inside the modern China and how everyday technology is play a role. And those things are really engage students. Life is a part of learning field, including like food, transportation, digital payments, city life, and culture, all help them to see the whole China system. So they experience such as deliver robot, like the first picture shows 30 minutes delivery, joint delivery, and robot serves the drinks and also the desserts, whether it's a cotton candy or ice cream. They have a lot of fun, and that's what also make China more vivid and memorable. But most important, as mentioned, this is how technology in China already became part of daily life. And students will experience while this learning that how platforms, logistics, infrastructures, and user are connected. Let's look at how is a typical day with that those photo has been showed. A typical day in Sea China is not a passive, but it's a learning unit. Students move through a daily loop, including observe, compare, reflect, work with teammates, and then produce outputs. And besides the daily, they also work at weekly learning unit. Typically use a city as a main system window and connect with what we visited in that city, such as a university or companies or their daily reflection, and then do the weekly calibration. And at that, by the way, the weekly also they will do live presentation to the parents and the students in the US that not going to China. So you actually connect in the group on the daily basis and also on the weekly basis. And at the end of program, obviously, they also going to do a final presentation, and you will be invited to see all those progress as well. So seeing more yourself does not automatically create a structured judgment. Okay. If this word is too hard for you to remember, just say make a sound judgment. Typical untrained judgment on the left side as showed is usually reacts to visible signal and missing the large picture and also missing the time factor. But the trained structure judgment is different. It helps students place a large system and identify key variables, compare those relations, and track change over time. The key point I'm showing this slide is very simple. Students need to learn how to compare, interpret, and explain what they see. Seeing more is not enough. So let's look at how we use our framework to train the students. This is our 5-dimension and a 5 framework students are going to apply during their observation and analysis and compare with the US. It's not lecture time, so I'm not going to go through all the detail with you, but this is how the structure judgment is trained. And next, let me show you an example. This is just one example, and you can see a lot more on the website. On this example, and this is what students produce at the end. And in this example, you will see students compare the digital commerce and payments in China versus in the US. They move from the surface observation to the system level analysis, look at the mobile payment, logistic, platform ecosystem, and consumer behavior. And that's how observation became structured judgment. But judgment alone is not enough. We also train them to do reliable execution. And next, let's look at how reliable execution is built. Once again, let's do the comparison. The reliable education there's a lot more steps, but I'm making it simple just to three: decompose, substrate, and also the account. Those three level already says that it cannot be a passive receiving. They must build through active responsibility. So that's the reason why in C China, students take a real roles. We have a different departments such as research, operations, and marketing and technology. And they do face deadlines, okay, on daily, weekly. And they have to work a teammate and depends on teammate share responsibilities. And this is intentionally training. And this is a training rubric again that we developed since 2019 and used for C China. It included 5 parts within that month because exposure itself, once again, does not become capability by itself. You have to do it and use those training rubric, including like a pre-trip, training, daily reflection, weekly calibration, final presentation, pre and post assessment is the way to ensure those premier exposure can turn into stronger judgment and more reliable educations and also the measurable learning progress. Now we have covered what students do and also how the training works. Let's take a step back and look at why in the AI era demands this kind of global competence. The deep logic behind the C China designs. So let's first look at the first structural change that AI brings. AI is changing how success works. In the past, it depends on more on the knowledge and skill, and today it's shift toward judgment and execution. And this is not our field. It's actually cross over the AI world and the business world. Those leaders like Jensen Huang, Sam Altman, they are all point to the same direction that judgment and execution have become more important. And this is exactly the capability layer we have been training since 2019. All right, and this slide, although I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but I do want to highlight one number 42.5. This is 2025 full data from New York Fed. This data just want you to understand for high school and college students, AI change is not a faraway issue. It's already here. All those data that show you, it's already reshaping white collar work, especially at the entry level. So we have to take actions. Okay, if you agree, then what's the solution, right? So let's take a look at next slide, what we believe from the past as the previous slide shows, right? The majors gives you knowledge and skill. If you are still, basically, if you are thinking about, okay, if CS doesn't work in the AI era anymore, can I just switch another major? And this slide tells you no, because switch major is only switch a different knowledge field. What you really need to switch is the capability, okay? And it's the system position. Even before the AI era, same major can have a different outcomes. All right. And that is the getting more obviously in AI era. That's the difference. Okay. Same major, different capability layer and different AI outcome. And that's what we show you. So the question, if you agree with what AI changing is coming, the question you should help your kids to ask yourself is that not like what major should I take? Instead, you should ask them what roles, what system position that my child should take from the task doer, task owner, workflow builder, or system operator, or system architecture. And each one has a different impact and outcome under AI. If this sounds like very complicated to you, let me use this slide to tell you actually not. There's a reason why SEA China's, including students from 16. The first year we start with a student in the college, but with our research, we actually lowered to 16. And this is why, because the 12 to 22 age is the most important formation window to form those capabilities. And what is those capability? A different layer of pattern, thinking pattern, responsibility. I'm not going to read all through on the left side. And on the right side, those are the training window. And this is not by us. It's backed by scientific research. And that's the reason that SEA China offered to students 16 and above. We train very practical patterns, how students think, how they take responsibility, how they manage education, receive feedback, and understand the consequence. And this age is the best and most important formation window. It doesn't mean past this window, nothing can be changed. It just means that past this window, cost will be higher. We are not claiming students will be fully mature in 30 days, but 30 days do make a huge difference, especially to start building this right foundation. So students know how to keep building after the program. And we will explain why we open this year an optional opportunity for parents to join. So next, let's go back to next AI shifts. The second AI shift is that they're changing how competition works. I think most people already know AI is not a tool. It's a general purpose technology, such, like electricity. But what makes difference is that AI, it's not standing alone technology. It changes not just individual job, it changes a large system involved like technology, capital, talent, infrastructure, industry data, etc., etc. That's why the competition now becomes more system-based. So this slide shows you from top down, national system actually shape the industry shape the opportunity, and those ones in the individual level, then you will see how the opportunities form and not just what major keep popular today. And that's what you needed to understand, how the opportunity are formed, not just look at, what is popular today. It also changed how capability gets amplified at the personal level from bottom up. So in the bottom up direction, AI is making personal value create also more system-based. Strong students can use AI to organize tours, workflow, people, and education into a small system and to amplify their value. Therefore, the question again is not only what the students know, it's what students can build and operate the system that creates the value. AI is also changing how China becomes more directly relevant to students now. China used to be, or even now actually still mostly think from like a leader or policy maker or someone who working in a supply chain or global career. But what AI does is it makes China more directly relevant to every student through two forces. Okay, the first reason is that more high value industry are globally coordinated and shaped by the US and China dynamics, including all those industries that with the comparison that we mentioned, AI, robotic, EV, etc. So that's the first one. The second is what you said, that competition is becoming more system-based. And so, when those two are together, it makes that understanding China is no longer just a global awareness. It's actually can affect your major decision, internship direction, and industry understanding, and your career planning. And this is no longer the slide I'm showing you is this is a number from Reuters recently. And I'll just quickly add it. And this, once again, is not just a slide to show you all different numbers. It's not far away once again. 80% of a US startup is actually using China open source AI. So let's talk about why we saying from the very beginning, say, understand China, it's a competitive advantage. When AI develops, right, demand for stronger understanding of modern China will rise very fast. But the structure supply is very limited. Why is that? Is because most schools in US do not teaching modern China, and that just create a gap. The students who understand the modern China earlier and more systematically, they can gain a real competitive advantage. Let me explain. This is a blind spot, meaning that if you believe into this and if you see this, you can turn this blind spot into your competitive advantage. The first, as said, most school doesn't teach modern China systematically. And when China appears in school, they are typically like languages such as Mandarin or East Asia study, or students learn from news or social media. Those are all fragmented topic. It's not a systematic. And the data we show here is that 25 out of 95, those are referred to non-Chinese students estimated. And those are the academically strong non-Chinese students. But even for academically strong Chinese American students and with a cultural background and speak the language, have been to China more than 3 times, they are only scored at 42 out of 95 as well. And those 95 questions, it's nothing hard. It's very basic questions such as, whether you know this company. It's very simple question. And why is that the case? It's based on our research is casual visitor and the fragmented exposure reach a plateau quickly at 44 and 95. Okay, well, our systematic training within 30 days is increased 30% of knowledge, modern China knowledge. Now let's come back to wrap up why See China combined our modern China course with our capability program together, okay? Because modern China provides the system-based learning foundation for modern China. Modern China for modern China, right? And the AI Sure program, which is our capability training foundation since 2019, provides those capability trainings. And See China bring them together so you actually get 2-in-1 benefit. And also China here plays 2 roles. The first is it's the training field. The second is understanding China will become a competitive advantage. Okay, so let's move on. A lot of concept. I hope you can guess some of them, but if you don't, no worry. Okay, you can join the group with us and or email us question anytime. So let's take a look at what students come back in 30 days. Because they are not just simply attend and visit lecture, they do produce structured delivery based on the real observation, analysis, and collaborations. The students' work is on our webpage, including comparative analysis and also their presentations and their social media works. So you are really encouraged to check them out. And by the way, those real outputs you can use for application and interviews. And besides those real outputs, they actually also come back with a clear academic and career direction. We actually go back and then follow up with the previous alumni, and that's the testimony they provide, which also on our website. And they do agree that they are getting better, get a clear directions. And some of them even take action immediately, such as take a different courses and double major in add double major. Okay, so let's look at our next slide. That why family trusts C China. Those numbers says something. Those are all from like who joins, who refers, what students produce, right? As we show, and what family reports after the program. And I don't need to read them through, right? Students are from top 30 university in the past cohort, and more than 50% are coming from the prime family referrals. And also, in the broad sense, we have trained 1,000 students plus since 2019. And the program itself is also led by myself. And so that means the design and the delivery are directly accountable. Okay, so let's take one example of what students or parents say about C China. Although I'm going to leave you to read through, but the important pattern is fairly clear. Parents always describe C China as much more than a memorable trip. And students report a clear direction, real work, and strong network. And that's why we believe C China is a formative. It's not just impressive. Well, you can read it through again, but let me emphasize that we do have around like 1 to 5 adult to student supervision and staffing ratio. And also want to emphasize that students are treated really well through the lodging, meals, and transportation, etc. And family will be in the group, including WeChat group that pre the trip and also in the trip you will receive a daily updates and also post trip. The dates and pretty much is in July. Those country dates, sorry, that's one mistake, in July, but exactly day will be determined by together with students during the pre-trip. Okay, and city this year we are adding 2 more city. One inland city possibly, most likely is Chengdu, and the other city we're still deciding to serve the purpose of this year's focus. Let me spend 1 more minute on this 2 more slides regarding the parent participation. And this is optional. Okay, it doesn't replace students' role. Reason is simple. It's because those AI changing is structural and it is fast. So kids at this age, what they lack of is not intelligence, it's the life experience or professional experience. And that's what parents can add on. And that's parents also are what students trust. So the parents' role can help them to make a better judgment or understand the system better. And that's the reason we provide the parents' participation. Okay. The last slide, but it's the beginning of your decision. And C China is forward-looking and information-rich. If you're using WeChat, please join our WeChat group. And you also can chat with the alumni parents in WeChat group. We including about more than 10 of them from both years. And if you don't have a WeChat and not deciding to have one at this point, you can please remember this email address. You can always send the emails. And if your kids join the C China, we do require the students to use WeChat because that is a must-to-have app in China.